So I guess I'll start this way. Wanted to fence in my backyard. Now, this is something I would normally have done myself over many, many years, doing just anything and everything. I've been a type to just do it all myself and could never really afford tradesmen, whether it was plumbing or electrical or framing, flooring, roofing. Did a lot of things myself, but I've got to the age now where just not as capable as once was. Still got the tools, still have the know-how, but just not as capable. Digging post holes and all that's really not something that I'm able to do anymore. In that vein, though, now there's a lot of guys my age. I'm 69. I'm sure there's plenty of capable men out there my age or older, guys that have probably worked hard all their lives, but I've gotten a little soft, so I'm not as able as I once was. In any case, I wanted some good materials for it, so I got yellow wood. As you can see here, I've got a stack of it up. Forgive the camera antics, I'm not a videographer by any means. Nonetheless, I wanted some good lumber. I got tired of, over the years, of going to Home Depot and Lowe's and looking through 100 2x4s to find 10 good ones. So I looked online and discovered an outfit called Yellowwood. That's Y-E-L-L-A, Yellowwood. And I found a local dealer, went there. They let me go out in the yard and see what they had. So I was really impressed. This stack I've got 3 2x6s in here for my gate post. I've got the 2x4s for the rails, the pickets, and so on. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a picket with me here now. And so this is what I've decided we're going to use. Problem is, I hired a contractor to come do it, but he and I are just not seeing eye to eye. We'll go around here to where he has begun. I wanted, or my vision at least, for a fence was to have fence posts that were 3 feet in the ground, and I wanted it to be set with a wet mix of cement, not a dry pour like so many like to use. And so I just waited, and the contractor eventually showed up, and we had a couple of delays, but sometimes things can't be helped like that. Nonetheless, he did eventually make it in, and he and a worker got busy putting in posts. Well, this is kind of as far as they got for the moment. They got several posts set up here, as you can see, and then there's a couple over here that they ran into some stone down there and had to go rent a jackhammer to break up the stone. That hasn't been done yet. But after he had worked and I went back out that evening, which was I don't know if it was last night or the night before. Nonetheless, I came out and looked, and although he didn't agree with putting the post 3 feet deep the way I wanted, he said that he set some 2 feet, and that's plenty good enough. That's quite adequate. As you can see here, my backyard is right next to a park, and the wind blows in from the southwest, and that's it. It hits square into my yard. Not high winds regularly or all the time, of course, but that's the prevailing direction of the wind coming in. And so it's going to work on this fence for years to come. The wind's going to be blowing against it. And although I don't expect the fence to fall down, I do believe that if the posts aren't set right, it's going to be wobbly. Nonetheless, he said he'd set them at 2 feet, That was his way of doing it. It's been successful for the 5 years he's been working this, and 200 fences he's built. Nonetheless, that's where he wanted to do it. So he set these posts, and although I wasn't necessarily agreeable to it, I watched and waited and let him do it. So now I come out afterwards and start measuring to see how deep these posts are. So here I've got a 6-foot picket. As you can see, this is, let's look at it here. That's a 72-inch picket there. If we go over here, let me set this down. We go over here, we've got these posts laying on the ground that he hasn't been able to set yet because of the stone. We'll see that we're using an 8-foot post. Go ahead and measure that. So right there comes up about 96¼ inches. So just a hair over 8 feet. So what that should mean then is if I laid a picket on that, there should be 2 feet of post longer than the picket itself. So when I put this picket, let me make an adjustment here. When I put this picket up against the post that's been set, 6-foot picket should be right at the top of the post. In other words, meaning 2 feet should be underground. Well, as I can already see, this one here, I got 6½ inches exposed, meaning that instead of being 2 feet in the ground, there's only 17½ inches in the ground. Is that right? 17½ inches. Let's go down the line here and look at them. I'll check these couple out here. Sorry for the terrible camera work. I'm, as I said, not a videographer. So we'll check each one of these. So then this post, it's got 5 inches exposed. That's 19 inches in the ground. Next one. Oh, that one's got 9 inches exposed. So instead of 24, that's got, what, 15 inches in the ground? So here's 6 again. The next one. Oh, that one's 4. That's a whole 20 inches. That one there's got 20 inches in the ground. I'll turn around and show that to you. This is the deepest one right here, I believe. And it's got 20 inches in the ground. So even it's not, doesn't have 2 feet in there. That's 4 inches exposed at the top. And we'll get down here to the last 2 that he's got set. Oh, what's this here? There's 7 inches, almost 6 3/4. And then this last one over here, that's 6 1/2. That was the last one I just measured. It's got, as I said, 6 1/2 inches of post above the picket here. So the deepest one here is what, 20 inches? Everything else is down it's got in the ground 15, 16, 17, 18 inches. So none of them are 2 foot. Now, let's top that off with this. He did a dry pour on the cement. So he made a point of making sure I understood that he was using 80-pound cement. Trouble is, it's only 80 pounds if you mix it according to the bag instructions. If you dry pour it and splash some water over top of it, which is pretty much what he did, you don't have 80-pound cement anymore. Now, I know this debate goes back and forth both ways. A lot of people will argue that dry pour works great. Others will say, oh no, that's not the right way to do it. I get it. So I'm willing, more than willing, to say, okay, well, we'll try the dry pour. It does work after a fashion, and you don't need 80-pound concrete to set a fence post. We get that. So the ones that are set here, if you push them a little bit, they seem to be set pretty good the way they are right now, as far as being feeling kind of solid, except for there's one of them where you push it a little bit and you can see the ground move, so it has to be redone no matter what. But imagine when it's finished, you've got about 500 square foot of fence here, a stockade type fence, and you've got a wind, breeze coming and going all the time, in my case from the southwest. That's the prevailing wind all year long here. It could be like right now, a little breeze, 3 or 4 miles an hour. This afternoon, it's supposed to be up to 10, 12 miles an hour. We get 20, 30 miles sometimes. Storms come and go. If you can imagine a wind buffeting this fence constantly, hitting it, relax, hit it, relax, it's going to make these posts start to wobble, especially if they're not set deep enough. And 3 foot to me was kind of the minimum. I could live with, I think, a 3 foot hole with 6 inch of gravel. Of course, he didn't put any gravel in this at all, so I don't know how long the post would last anyway. And since it's a dry pour, you can't mound the cement up around the base of the post any to make the water run off. So whatever water comes is going to pool around the base of these once everything's said and done. So that's probably going to be the first failure point. And it may not happen next year. It may be 5 years, 10, I don't know. But we build fences, we expect them to last for a good long while. And so contractor's coming this afternoon. I called him, I talked to him. I said, look, I asked him for 2 things. I said, number one, if you would please, I'd like you to give me a price. What would be the extra cost for you to build the fence the way I want it built? I mean, the paying customer, you would think I should be the one to decide what I want. Now, if I'm a complete noob, a novice, and have no idea what I'm talking about, that's one thing. But I've done this before. This is not new to me. I understand these things. And so I said, that's what I need. I want to get a price from you. Well, how much extra do you want to charge to build this fence the way I want it built? Secondly, if you can't do that or don't want to do that, then give me a price to buy you out on this contract to build this fence. So I heard from him last night again. He gave me a price. He said something like, well, something like it's not working out. I think the best thing is just kind of part ways. And then he gave me a dollar figure, what I had to pay to buy him out. Well, it turns out that's like 30% of the remaining balance on the fence. I gave him half up front, and then he wants 30% of the remaining balance. And I'm really unwilling to do that, particularly because the work he's already done doesn't even meet his own standards. So I'm going to have to start over, pull every one of these, break the cement off the base of them, and find me a contractor who'll come and build a fence properly. So with that said, I'm not obviously saying who the contractor is. I'm not going to get into that back and forth and fighting online over it. But This really comes down to probably being as much my fault as anybody's, because I bet this young man, he came with a good recommendation, and I thought, okay, well, we're good. He knows what he's doing. We walked the job, we talked it over. We did not discuss the details of how he was going to do it. Now, I'm a project manager for a major university, and so I can't stand micromanagement. I try not to do it myself, and I don't like others to try to do it to me. So I wasn't going to tell him how to do his job. I was just showing, this is what I need. I need a fence. It needs to be a stockade type, so on and so forth. And then when we got around to talking about how he was going to set the posts, and he said, well, 2 feet is fine. I didn't agree, but I didn't force the issue. I said, well, okay, let him go ahead and do his thing. He's supposed to know what he's doing. But as it turns out, although he probably does have extensive knowledge on how this should be done, he's obviously not applied it here, because not one of these posts, as I said, even meets his own standard. None of them have got gravel in the bottom of the holes for water drainage, and that poured cement is not going to let the water run away from the base of the post so that it doesn't rot away there. There's just a number of issues that I have that I would have done things differently if I had been able or capable anymore to do it. So just kind of a word of warning, when you get whether it doesn't matter, whether it's a plumbing contractor, roofing, whatever, and I learned this the hard way, go over the details. I've been doing this stuff for so many years, I just assume that people understand the way things should be done to get a quality job, a quality outcome. And as of course it turns out, a lot of people talk a good game. When it comes to execution, they're just not as good as they should be at it. He's supposed to come today to pick up some equipment, and he and I will talk, and I will inform him at that time that I'm not going to pay for the 30% fee or whatever on terminating the contract. First of all, I didn't ask for it to be terminated. All I asked for was a dollar figure that it would cost me if we terminated or ended our contract. And so he gave me the number, unhappy with it, and then he's the one that sent me a message back saying that he thinks we should go our different ways, and this is what it's going to cost me. So if he's quitting the job, that's on him. That's not me. I didn't fire him. I didn't ask him to leave. I may yet before it's over, but none of that has happened as yet. So I'll update this later, and maybe just tag it or add it onto the end of this video once the dust is settled and we all know what's going to happen.